I haven't done a weapon review style video in a very long time, so bear with me if this sucks. Here we go. This is the AMCAR-4 rifle. It is one of the 5 primary weapons in Payday the Heist, one of 2 starting weapons in this game, and is one of the total 13 very awesome weapons in this very awesome game. Don't let the fact that this is a starter weapon tarnish its reputation though. Make no mistake, and definitely do not be fooled, this thing is a beast in its own right, so let's talk about it. This is not just a rifle used by you. The SWAT teams that's constantly breathing down the Payday gang's neck are usually outfitted with loads of tactical gear and unmodified AMCAR-4 assault rifles. Naturally, due to its popularity in the arms of the NYPD and likely the military, Bane gets his hands on 4 of them and gets to issue them to the Payday gang to inflict as much violence and chaos as they'd like all across New York and a little bit of DC, and then of course Florida. Not that the Payday gang needed to be there for it to be present in Florida anyways. The gun would get many new iterations as the years went by, and in the Payday universe, the AMCAR-4 would start off like this, and branch off into 2 other weapons in the second game, carrying over more of its name in the AMCAR than anything, and more of its actual stats in the CAR-4. Nowadays, in Payday 3, the CAR-4 kinda goes a bit backwards, returning to how it more so looked in the original Payday the Heist, albeit much more generic or plain Jane, but still keeping the name CAR-4 instead of AMCAR-4. To put it simply, this gun went a long way after Payday the Heist, so today, we're shedding some light on the OG, the original AMCAR-4. You should get comfortable with the AMCAR-4 because it is a weapon that you'll be using for a bit of your Payday the Heist journey. In its vanilla state, it has a damage of 20, magazine capacity of 20, and a total ammo capacity of 120. It also has a rate of fire of 600 rounds per minute. Its reload speed and ammunition are both swift at a time of 1.4 seconds for a tactical reload and 1.9 seconds for an empty reload. If you want more specific statistics on the AMCAR-4, I'll leave a link in the description to the Payday wiki page that goes over the AMCAR's other stats. The AMCAR-4 gets 2 upgrades from leveling up Assault, which are damage increases, 4 upgrades from leveling up Sharpshooter, which are accuracy increases, and 2 upgrades from leveling up Support, which increase its capacity from 20 to 25, and then 25 to 30. For which those levels are: upgrade Assault to level 1, and then level 15 for max damage, upgrade Sharpshooter to level 1, then level 5, then level 12, and last level 16 for max accuracy, and upgrade Support to level 3 and then level 12 for max magazine capacity. And while it's a bit spread out, upgrading the AMCAR-4 is rather easy and can be done mostly towards the beginning of most skill trees. From these skill trees, the AMCAR comes with 2 attachments. Sharpshooter level 5 will unlock the Flash Hider, and Sharpshooter level 16 will unlock the Reflex Sight. Both attachments are exclusive to leveling up the Sharpshooter tree, and they can be attached or removed by going into the skill tree and unequipping the attachment where you unlocked it. Both attachments look nice, feel nice, and are a neat little addition. Stats aside, the weapon is a great all-rounder, as when hip firing, the spread is perfect for larger and more spread out crowds, but when aiming down sights, the weapon is fairly accurate too. Its headshot damage is great against B-Cops, Blue SWAT, and Snipers, however, it'll take a few more for Blacked Out Heavy SWAT. Its damage and fire rate pair nicely together, the weapon's accuracy is solid for a starting rifle, and the reload speed is pretty fast, making this a great weapon against hordes of cops, but the weapon can start to lack a bit against specials. It's worth noting also that even with a slow rate of fire, you can find yourself running out of ammo before you know it, and especially since the weapon is more of a standard cop killer than anything else, making sure you go on an occasional ammo run or even bring an ammo bag is vital. If you want to get the most out of using the AMCAR-4, I recommend firing in short bursts against single targets, and if you have multiple you need to take out, don't ADS and just air it out on them and you'll be good as long as you go to pick up your ammo right after. And don't be afraid to reload after every few kills, as the reload is fast enough to where you won't be exposed for too long when you need a quick mag change. The AMCAR-4 is a fast-paced weapon and one that will suit you in the heat of battle, whether it be quick, tightly packed spaces like in Panic Room, or you find yourself on Heat Street needing a weapon effectively out in the sometimes open, sometimes enclosed streets of New York. I'd say the best maps to utilize the versatility and mixed ranges of the AMCAR-4 are First World Bank, Heat Street, No Mercy, and Undercover. You'll see the weapon really excel whether we're talking about across the room distances, someone a block or 2 away from you, or even just down a narrow hallway in a busy hospital. Overall, pros of the weapon are its fast reload speed, its ADS accuracy, flexibility at all sorts of ranges, low recoil, and attachments. The weapon handles really well for a starter weapon, and when fully upgraded, it can see use even on overkill if you use it right. The attachments as well aren't flat out useless as they are on some other weapons that I'll get into down the line. And while I wouldn't really put bad attachments as a con, It's nice to have the reflex sight as an option. It really is like a game changer. The weapon becomes very fast paced, like I said earlier. Being able to keep up with maps that require you to constantly move and shoot, like Heat Street or Green Bridge, where you don't want an inaccurate or slow firing gun to defend yourself in a street with poor coverage. But that also goes for indoors, where rooms can get tightly packed and a little uncomfortable to deal with several enemies like Panic Room or No Mercy. Cons of this weapon are its rather shitty starting capacity and its ammo pickup. 20 rounds is fine on sniper rifles and DMRs especially, maybe even a semi-automatic rifle like if the M308 had a 20 round mag, but 20 rounds to start off with isn't a lot, even for a slow firing gun like this. Yes, it's a starter gun, so of course it's not going to be great to start off with, but I still felt like it's worth noting. The other con is that the weapon suffers a lot from its kind of poor ammo pickup. Most commonly I get around 4 to 6 rounds back per ammo box, and I was just complaining about how 20 rounds is enough. So imagine having to constantly get ammo for this just to pick up as not as many rounds as I'd like, or you'd like. Middle grounds of this gun are its fire rate and hip fire accuracy. 600 rounds per minute could be and sometimes should be a lot faster for an M4A1, but at the same time I'd imagine I'd be complaining about ammo a lot more if it were faster. On the other hand, disposing of heavy weapons and special enemies like dozers would be easier with a higher rate of fire. Its hipfire accuracy I feel like is also worth talking about because sometimes it's actually really accurate and you don't have to ADS in tight spaces to land good shots, but sometimes bullets just scatter way too much, so pushing how accurately you can shoot while hipfiring is not something I'd recommend. Now you can skip this if you're not interested, but for this review I wanted to touch on the AMCAR-4 itself, as it does set itself apart quite a bit as an in-universe weapon in comparison to how most games depict this rifle in real life. The AMCAR-4 is based off of the Colt M4A1, which I'm sure is a shocker to absolutely fucking nobody. For the reference model, I have a Payday 2 mod that lets me have the AMCAR-4 as a standalone weapon, and because it's a ported model, any details and features from the original AMCAR-4 are going to be present here, but I can actually see it and move it around. Most of the stuff that's on the AMCAR-4 is standard for the M4A1. The weapon without any attachments from the trees gives us a mostly vanilla M4, which you can see from this list right here, going over all of its standard parts. It does utilize a front post sight that is rather uncommon to most M4s or AR-15s, and swaps it out for a folding front post sight. I did some digging and it was really hard to find, but I did find that the closest thing to this attachment in real life is the Knight's Armament folding front sight base. Would make sense that this is it, given the other use of Knight's Armament parts on this gun. As if we go a bit further, we can see that the AMCAR-4 swaps out the standard M4 double heat shield handguard for a Knight's Armament rail adapter system handguard. The only other aspect of the AMCAR-4 that seems to be customized is the select fire area, where the wording for safe, semi, and auto are colored in a bright orange font. Everything else is both standard and faithful to the M4A1. As for any sins this gun has committed, it only has 4 that I'm aware of. 1, during the reload, you can clearly see that both no bullets are in the mag as it leaves, nor as you insert a fresh one. 2, the select fire switch is set to safe in the game when it's clearly on full auto. 3, no matter what mag capacity you have, which I already went over, the AMCAR-4 always feeds from a 30 round STANAG mag, which is fine if you fully upgrade the capacity, but for when you start out, it's odd. And 4, this thing's rate of fire is unrealistically slow. The standard for the M4A1 is between 700 to 900 rounds per minute. Most of the time it's more on the higher side of 900 rounds per minute. And this thing is shooting 100 rounds per minute slower than its slowest real life fire rate, which is kinda insane. Overall though, as I said earlier, the gun is fairly accurate to what is common on a real life Colt M4A1. As for its attachments, it comes with 2 of them. The flash hider, which replaces the normal muzzle device at the tip of the barrel, and the reflex sight, which sees the carry handle being removed and the front post sight being folded down. Firstly, the flash hider. While it's referred to as the CAR-15 muzzle brake by the wiki, it's actually not one at all. The CAR-15 flash hider is a rather long muzzle device, but it's not a 4-prong one like the one seen in game. It could be an in-universe mock-up of a real-life flash hider like the CAC 4-prong flash hider, however I can't confirm it because I don't know its release date, or the G36K extended flash hider. Both are long, have similar indents on the back sides of the flash hider, and both are 4-prong devices. It's also very possible that one of these 2 flash hiders had some sort of influence on the design that went into the unnamed flash hider in-game. Moving on, we have the reflex sight you can unlock as well, which removes the M4 carry handle from the weapon and mounts said reflex sight. The reflex sight isn't actually a reflex sight at all, but it rather is a holographic sight, one made by EOTech judging by the overall design of it. While the wiki speculates it's an EOTech 551 or 552, I'd say it's closer to the 551. It's noticeably missing many exterior features though if you look at them from side to side. It also comes in this color that's kind of more like a full FDE or some sort of metallic gray rather than a matte or black like a real life ELTech 551. With all of that out of the way, now that you know everything there is to know about the AMCAR-4, is it worth using? For the most part, I would say yes. It's a great performance since your first trips to the bank. Its damage is acceptable for half the enemies you'll be fighting. Its reload speed will keep you less vulnerable when you want to get back in a fight, and it's very easy to upgrade. Its damage could be better, and I'm sometimes against taking it on overkill just because I find myself needing ammo for it more because the majority of enemies are now heavy SWAT and special enemies, and its rate of fire can be considered slow, and it's not dead accurate like the M308. But overall, it's a solid all-rounder. Objective reasons aside, overall I love the AMCAR-4. I know the M308 is better in a few ways, but I'm not too big on a few of its features. Plus the AMCAR-4 just feels nice since it reminds me heavily of Heat and the Colt 73 used during the bank robbery and then shootout afterwards. Considering I really go above overkill anyways, the AMCAR-4 is good enough for my purposes. But yeah, that's the AMCAR-4 rifle. If you have any feedback on this review, I'd be more than happy to hear it so long as no one's going to be a complete tool about it, and let me know what weapon I should review next. Thank you guys for watching. Colonel Kenshin, out.